Hello and welcome to another Practical IT video. In this video we're going to install Xubuntu 20.10 and take a look at some of the features as well as the Lynis Score. Let's get started. Alright, we're here in our trusty Virtualbox. I've got the basics set up for Xubuntu and we're going to go ahead and get this show started. Alright, we are using an EFI based virtual machine, so we're going to go ahead and just choose Xubuntu. Alright, so we made it to our installer. Let's do install Xubuntu, English, install third-party software. Alright, erase disk, install Xubuntu, install now. And it should prompt for a username and other a username and password, and we should be able to get the process started. Time zone. Alright, let this get started. And I will be back when this is just about finished. We made it to the end of the installer. Let's go ahead and restart. Alright, here we can do our first login. And it looks like we're there. So we have our little menu up here in the top left corner, which is all good. Let's first see if Control-Alt-T works to bring up a terminal. And it does. Okay, so let's enlarge this a little bit. We're going to install Build Essential. Because the first thing we're going to do after that is we're going to install the guest editions for Virtualbox. And we'll see about getting a full screen version of this for a change. And while we're waiting on that, I'm going to go ahead and insert the guest edition CD image. And then we can get things started once this has completed. Alright, so now we know that the virtual image for the guest editions is inserted and it's located in /media/ my username and then Virtualbox 6.1.16. And so once this Build Essential is done installing, we will go ahead and check that out. See if we can't get this moving forward. Might do one other thing in parallel. Open a new tab. Go into downloads. See if we've got Git installed. Git is not installed, so we'll have to wait on that until the other process finishes. And so what I was going to do with Git is grab a clone of the repository for Lynis. And then once some of this other stuff is done, we can run the Lynis evaluation and get our hardening index for our fresh install of Xubuntu 20.10. So if we give this another 30 minutes or 30 seconds, maybe a minute, we should be done with this and can move on to the next step. And still try to keep this relatively short. And here we go. Alright. Do that. And then we can get this installing the guest editions, and we can go to the other tab and we can at least get Lynis downloaded, and then once everything is done, we'll go ahead and run Lynis. Okay, We're going to change directory to /media, my username, and Virtualbox. We'll list what's in there. And we're going to say sudo /vbox Linux additions.run, and that's going to do its thing. And so while that's doing its thing, we're going to come over here and we're going to say git clone http://github.com/cisofy/Linus. And that should come down pretty quick. Okay, so we're ready for that to roll as soon as we get guest editions installed. And we may have to reboot here in the meantime, but if we don't run Linus until after the reboot, that's okay if we can get this into a full screen resolution and make it a little less painful to use in this crazy 800 by 600 4 by 3 nightmare of days gone by. So yeah, let's wait this out for a minute and see what happens. All right, we have finished with adding that kernel module, and it says running kernel modules will not be replaced until the system is restarted. So instead of running Linus now, let's go ahead and restart the system. And then we can start fresh and get things moving. All right. Let's see what this looks like after we get everything installed. And just about ready to go. See if this wants to cooperate with us. Settings. Display. And let's do 1440 by 900. That seems to be my go-to resolution for these demos. Keep. Okay, so at least we've got a better display. Not full screen the way I wanted, but let's see if we actually put it in full screen. Okay, that's doable. All right, so we're going to go back into our terminal and get into the Linus directory, and we'll get this running. And enter to continue. Okay, so we've got the Virtualbox guest editions installed. We're running Linus, very newest version of Linus, with pulling it down from GitHub. And once this is done, we'll take a look around at some of the software that's included, and then we will wrap up this video. That does make me a little nervous when you see all these services marked unsafe. But let's see where we're at for the ending point, and we can go from there. Lots of long execution warnings. Makes me want to double check this on a physical machine and make sure it's not just something related to Virtualbox. So note that this is being run without the SSH daemon installed. I normally do install that on all of my systems running Linux. It just makes it a whole lot easier for management, especially as I'm starting to attempt to move into using Ansible more for configuration for my machines. Another long execution. Go figure. All right, here we go. Lynis scan is finished. Ouch. A 59. That's low. Okay, well, that does give us a starting point for hardening the system. And a lot of suggestions here. And let's see, one or more vulnerable packages, IP tables module loaded but no rules active. That's fine. We can enable UFW, and that should take care of that issue. All right, so that gives us our Lynis score. Again, it's a 59 as a starting point. So at this point, I just want to take a quick look through and see what all is installed here. No, I don't want Pigeon. Thank you very much. Okay. I haven't used Pigeon in a lot of years. Alright, so accessories, normal kind of stuff, file manager, notes, terminal emulator, CD burner, font manager, games, pretty much what you'd expect, the puzzle collection, Sudoku, and Mines. They're not including Solitaire by default unless it's part of the puzzles collection. Graphics, of course, GIMP. We've got an image viewer, LibreOffice Draw, and then scanner software. Internet, we get Firefox, Thunderbird, Transmission for a BitTorrent client, and Pigeon for instant messaging. Multimedia, music player, pulse audio volume control, and again they put CD burner in there again. Office, you get LibreOffice, a dictionary, and document viewer. Settings, pretty much control panel, settings app type stuff, and then system, Gigolo for remote file systems. So let's take a look at that just for grins real quick here. So nothing in the list. So FTP, SSH, WebDAV, or your Windows shares. So we'll do username, log in as admin on that one for the time being. And we do in fact get connected here. And double clicking it will open it up in your file viewer. This can be handy. You don't have to remember everything each time you want to connect. Get rid of this, because I believe if you come back in here to Gigolo, which is what makes this useful, you will then, I guess you'd have to save that, but you can bookmark it and have that available to you. We can say disconnect, and then you can connect with FTP, WebDAV, so that's useful if you're using Nextcloud. So that would be nice there as well. So again, this is a nice, especially for newer users, people that are migrating from Windows, this would be a handy application to have. And yeah, handy little thing. So out of curiosity, what version of LibreOffice have they included for us? Okay, we don't want tips. We do want to find out what version we've got. And this is version 7.0.2.2. That's pretty current. 7.0.3 is out and 7.1 is in beta as I'm recording this. So again, not that far behind. And cool thing about LibreOffice is that on Linux you can run it as an app image or a flat pack. I forget which they make it available in, but we can find that out here real quick too. You can run the beta versions in parallel with the installed version until such a time that the distribution maintainers update their packages and push that out as an option. So that's a handy thing to know. And likewise, if you're running Mac OS or Windows, the beta versions will install as LibreOffice Dev, so you can have the stable version and the beta version installed at the same time, and they're not going to conflict with each other. So just something to consider if you want to live a little bit on the bleeding edge, see what's coming in upcoming versions of LibreOffice. I'm still really impressed with LibreOffice and the momentum that they've picked up on their development cycles compared to especially OpenOffice, which it's been like 3 years since they've had an update. And even Microsoft Office, I'm not a fan of subscription plans. And I refuse to pay for Microsoft Office, so I don't use it, except when I'm at work. And even there, I've also got LibreOffice installed. So I've got the best of both worlds. If I need to exchange something with other people who are going to be editing it, I tend to start off on Google Docs. And, if I'm producing the final version of the document, I will bring down an ODF version of the file, edit it in LibreOffice Writer, and then export it as a PDF. And nobody really needs to know the difference. All right, so LibreOffice 7.1, Beta 1. Got it. Thank you, Firefox. Okay, so Beta 1, we look at operating systems, and we've got it available as a deb or an RPM. So you could use that, but we've also got available flat packs. And so just by specifying different versions, so fresh being one, and I believe they've got one marked stable. It looks like Flatpak is trailing behind maybe a little bit. Let's go to Flat Hub and see. And then while that's loading, we can look at app image and snaps. So if we come back here, snap, and app image. Okay, so FlatHub again is your repository for Flatpak images, and we'll see what we've got as options for LibreOffice. One result. See what the version number is. Okay, so this is newer, 7.0.3.1. And that looks like the only version that we've got available through a Flatpak at this moment. The snap versions. We have, let's see, LibreOffice Snap Package. We'll let that load. And then we'll come over and take a look at app images. So if you're on Windows and you're not familiar with these different packaging formats on Linux, you can think of the Snap app image and Flatpak as different types of installable images that you'd get on Windows. So you might get an exe on Windows to install something. You might get an MSI. Over the years, there have been other things that have come and gone. So on app image, you can get a daily version app image and pre-release. So if we look at pre-release, I'm going to guess that that's going to have our 7.1 beta version in it, and it does. So 7.1 is available as an app image package, and this is very old. So this is of no use. Let's go back here. So you can, from the command line, look for different versions of LibreOffice that might be available, and it will prompt you on which version to install and give you some options there. So without going too much further into the detail on that, I'm going to call it good. We're going to close our tabs. And yes, that is our first look at Xubuntu 20.10. Again, it's a pretty lightweight distribution, and if you've got an older machine, or if you're just looking for something lightweight so that you can have more processing power available to your applications, this is a good way to go. And some of us like a little bit more minimalistic approaches anyways. So at this point, I'm just going to start the updates and let this run for a while. And yeah, we'll see what happens with Xubuntu. But again, this is the 6-month supported version. 20.10 is supported until the 21.04 release comes out or thereabouts. And it's always interesting to install these in VMs as the development continues, just to see incrementally what's happening and be able to make an educated decision on whether it's a version you want to install or whether you want to wait it out with an LTS version, knowing that the next LTS version, which comes out in 2022, will be incorporating a lot of the features that we're seeing in each of the 6-month versions. So I guess that will wrap up my look at Xubuntu. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you for watching. If you haven't done so already, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Click that bell icon for notifications. I've got more great videos coming throughout the remainder of 2020, and I've got some new and exciting plans moving into 2021. So stay tuned, and if you've got the time, come on over to our Sunday live stream. It happens every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and usually goes for about 90 minutes. The more the merrier. The more people we have, the more discussion we get going in the chat, and the more fun it is for everybody involved. Until next time, stay safe out there. Happy computing. Have a great day.